Welcome to Faith in Every Step, where we walk through life's hardest moments and learn to see God's hand in the middle of them. Please like, subscribe, and share. It always starts quietly, the moment the phone goes silent, the text that never comes, the dream that suddenly collapses. You stare at the wall, wondering how something that once made so much sense could now feel like it's crumbling beneath you. You pray, but heaven feels quiet. You try to smile, but it feels forced. You go through the motions, hoping no one notices that inside you're breaking. We all walk through valleys. The world tells us to climb faster, to fight harder, to hustle our way out. But God often calls us to pause. Because the valley isn't punishment, it's preparation. David knew that. Before he ever held a crown, he held a sling. Before he ever faced Goliath, he faced isolation. He was the youngest, the overlooked, the one left with sheep while his brothers went to battle. Psalm 23 was born not from the palace, but from the pasture. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. He didn't write those words at the top of the mountain. He wrote them while the valley shadows were real. Maybe you're there right now. The valley of heartbreak, the valley of disappointment, the valley of waiting. This isn't the end of your story. It's the part where God builds the strength you'll need for what's next. So don't despise the valley. You're closer to the mountain than you think. Sometimes life unravels without warning. A job loss, a betrayal, a sudden diagnosis. You think, God, where are you in this? David's life turned that way too. One day, Samuel anointed him king. Oil ran down his head, God's promise visible for everyone to see. But the next season, he was running for his life, hiding in caves, living like an outcast. That's what no one tells you about calling. It often comes with a collapse. But God uses collapse to cut away the noise. Because when the applause stops, when people walk away, when plans fail, you finally hear his voice again. David learned dependence in the dark. The cave was not comfortable, but it was holy. It's where he learned that God doesn't only live in temples, he lives in whispers, in broken moments, in the cracks of your confidence. And maybe that's you. You've done all you can, and it still fell apart, but maybe it had to. So God could show you that the promise never depended on you holding it together. Your valley may feel like loss, but it's actually training ground for greatness. You know, silence is loud when you're waiting on God. David waited years after his anointing before becoming king. He was faithful, not famous. And while others forgot him, God never did. Psalm 27:14 says, "Wait for the Lord, be strong, and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord." Waiting is not wasted time, it's sacred time. When God is silent, he's not absent, he's still working beneath the surface. In your life, that silence may mean he's rearranging things you can't see. You think nothing is happening, but heaven is setting the stage. Faith is trusting God even when you can't trace him. And sometimes, your worship in the waiting speaks louder than your victory shout on the mountain. If you're there right now, keep walking, one step at a time, through tears, through confusion, through silence, because the valley isn't forever, it's just the hallway to the next chapter. So, one ordinary day, David's father called him from the fields. "Take this bread to your brothers." Just an errand, just obedience, but that small step led him straight into destiny. Goliath was waiting. That's how God works. Big miracles often hide in small instructions. You don't always see the mountain when you start walking. You just take the step. And sometimes the path that looks ordinary becomes holy ground. Your valley won't last forever, but what you learn there will sustain you on the mountain. So keep showing up, keep believing, because the same God who anointed you in secret will reveal his promise in public, in his time. For anyone still here, sometimes when the valley feels endless, God begins to whisper, not in thunder, not in lightning, but in quiet moments, through a song lyric, a sunrise, or a verse that suddenly hits different. David heard God in those same whispers while hiding in caves. In 1 Kings 19, Elijah also ran into the wilderness and met God not in the storm, but in a still small voice. When life goes dark, God speaks softer, because he's closer. If everything around you feels quiet, maybe it's not silence, maybe it's invitation. The valley becomes sacred when you stop fighting it and start listening. He's not done with you, he's developing your hearing. Yes, in life, every valley hides a lesson, even if you can't see it yet. David learned to lead sheep before leading people. He fought lions and bears before facing giants. He learned faithfulness before fame. God uses small battles to prepare you for big ones. That heartbreak, it's building compassion. That failure, it's building wisdom. That delay, it's building discipline. Romans 8:28 says, "All things work together for good for those who love God." Notice, not some things, all things, even the ones that broke you. The valley is your teacher, and what feels like loss today will be strength tomorrow. The hardest part isn't the pain, it's the waiting. You pray, you believe, but nothing changes. You wonder if maybe you misheard God. But remember David, He was anointed long before he was appointed. God's promise often arrives years before its fulfillment. The waiting room of faith is where endurance is born. You learn to walk by faith, not by sight, because sight would discourage you, but faith reminds you it's not over yet. So while you wait, worship. While you wait, prepare. Because when God moves, he moves fast, and you'll want to be ready. One day, you'll look back and see what you couldn't see before. Every no that hurt you was actually protection. Every delay that frustrated you was divine direction. Every heartbreak that broke you was preparation for something better. David didn't see the purpose of the pasture until the palace. He didn't understand the rejection until the crown. Your valley might not make sense now, but one day, it will be your testimony. The pain you're walking through is proof that purpose is still alive. You'll thank God for the things he didn't let happen, because they would have kept you from the life he's building for you. The climb doesn't always start with triumph. It starts with trust. For David, it began with a stone and a sling. Just one moment of courage changed everything. Your climb begins when you decide to stop surviving and start believing again. You may still be in the valley, but faith makes you lift your head and say, "There's more for me than what I see." Isaiah 40:31 says, "Those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles." You might be walking now, but soon, you'll soar. Take one faithful step today. God will meet you halfway up the mountain. Reaching the mountain doesn't mean life gets easy. It means you finally see purpose in the pain. From the top, David saw what the valley had taught him: humility, endurance, and dependence on God. And when you reach your mountain, you'll see that too. Every scar tells a story. Every tear watered the soil that grew your faith. You'll realize it wasn't wasted. The valley was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to define you. You can't appreciate the sunrise until you've walked through the night. Here's the truth we often resist. God doesn't remove every valley, because some valleys reveal who you are. If you never faced fear, you'd never know courage. If you never felt lost, you'd never learn to lean on him. If you never walked through darkness, you'd never recognize his light. God allowed your valley not to punish you, but to prepare you for the weight of the promise. And just like David, you'll one day say, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing." Because when you've been through the valley, you realize he really was all you needed. Maybe right now you're standing in your own valley. You've prayed, cried, waited, and still it hurts. But let me remind you, this isn't the end. The valley before the mountain is where God shapes champions. It's where your faith is proven real. So don't give up now. Keep walking, keep trusting, because every valley ends with a view, and yours will too. Welcome to Faith in Every Step, where we walk by faith, not by sight. If this message spoke to your heart, subscribe and share it with someone who needs hope today, because faith doesn't skip the valley. It survives it.